Where
Large arrays at each end, enhance the lighting in the center. We're going to do more things to beautify it and just expand what we're already doing there.
Try to keep that like more like an outdoor patio.
Yeah, it'll be all outside. Yeah, we won't close it. It's not a plan at all to ever enclose that.
you do a wonderful job. Thank you. I commend you on your work.
Thank you.
Good asset.
Agree. Excited to see what it becomes.
Thank you.
I have no problem with you that out.
Okay, while the doors open, I just want to make a side note. This Sunday, we're having an open house in the building because it's going to be almost done. So anyone's welcome from 6 to 9 on Sunday to walk through this that we've done and kind of just say hello. 6 to 9 on Sunday, this Sunday.
Sunday evening.
Yeah. Open
Okay.
house.
Yeah, I was like, oh, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
You wake up early, Lori.
I do get up early, I do it. Yeah, that building looks great, Brian.
Yeah.
It really looks nice.
Everything else.
It took longer than I thought, of course, but it's
Yeah,
been
but
about a
you
year
always
and a
had
half.
people
we've been
working out there.
But
Yeah.
it's been pretty consistent. I mean,
It has been
you
consistent.
have been
But it
consistent working on it.
Yep.
So then, after we're done with that, then we'll jump to the
You
one next to
want
the alley.
to take over the other building?
No. Was that a quick enough no for you?
Yeah, I guess.
If
Can I
could-
talk to your brother to talk you into it?
No.
No.
He's lazier than I am.
That's what I would have said about my brother.
If I could real quick too, in your packet here, you have an email from Bert Seen. The zoning commission also met and they are also in favor of this alley vacating it for Brian. And then we also have another email from Frank DeMarco saying that we have no use for it. There's no sewage lines, nothing underneath, so we checked our boxes that way. And obviously, as you guys all know, how much Brian means to this city, to this downtown. Brian has stuck by everything he said he's going to do, and he's a man of his word, and we wouldn't be the downtown without him, and without his partnership and communication with our administration.
Do we need legislation for this?
We will, and that's something we have to talk to John about, because we pulled something with Megan, and I don't know if we have to have a public hearing. You might have to look at it because he owns both properties touching, and we own the alley behind and the street in front. I don't know if we still have to have one.
If my recollection is correct from the last time we did this, we would not need to have a public hearing. But
Okay.
I will have to double check that.
Okay.
I don't think you'll have a problem.
No.
No.
Anything else? You guys
That
need?
was all, Brian. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for
Thanks
coming.
for
All right, nice seeing you.
When I get back to work. Okay, anybody else have anything for me before we start on legislation? Okay, start with the first one from the mayor and the safety service director, and this is a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Struthers to submit an application to participate in the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Nature Works Grant Program. Speak at all, Mayor?
I could, real quickly, I think I talked about this with you all when we had meetings about the resurfacing. This is for a walking path, 5 foot, has to be handicap accessible. The total project cost is $162,000. We are asking ODNR for $54,000. We are going to try to piece the rest of it. We actually have 3 other applications to make up the remaining part of that. This is nothing coming in out of the general fund. If we do receive this grant and we're not able to find the rest, we will just respectfully decline the grant. So it's nothing that would come out of our pocket. This is strictly would be grant based. But this is the walking path around Nebo Field and 10 handicap accessible parking spots, because if you get the grant, it has to be handicap accessible, which is fine. But this is just trying to further develop that park.
Where are those parking spots gonna go?
They will actually they could go anywhere, but the drawing that we have right now, it's in the middle.
I'm gonna need
Like
to see that.
like if you're coming in, it's just in the middle of that field right there. So right where the parking lot is now, but
Right.
in the middle. But we can relocate them wherever we need.
So there'll be parking there, and there's gonna be 2 fields, right?
Yes, so as it stands right now, there'll be 2 baseball fields on the western end of there. We have the dog park there. We're working out some other things with the building, and we're discussing some things there, but we're looking at playground equipment But right now, there's a lot of grant applications that we can submit for this. So the playground equipment, we might switch to how you said in the middle there, so in between the dog park and the fields. We just wanna develop it more. We don't wanna put any, we talked to some of the neighbors, we don't wanna put playground equipment back by the neighbors' houses or anything like that, so kind of keep it to where it is now.
It
Whatever
doesn't have to be
right
real
there.
elaborate either, just something there
Yes.
for the kids when they're walking the dogs or they're watching the games,
Mhm.
their kids can play.
Yeah.
Or
And just
something.
as a parent, that has been huge for some of the places. They have a South Range park that we're able to sit there and watch our game, and our little ones can
Yeah.
play on the. And,
And
it's
we have a
nice
lot more
because
kids up in the
everybody
Evo area now,
gets-
so, I mean, we have like 5 just on my street in the last couple of years, so I'm all for it.
Very good. I agree. Motion to bring it out.
Bring it out. Motion to bring it out.
Second? Second, yeah. Okay, we'll roll right on to the next one. It is from the Mayor and Safety Service Director as well. An ordinance authorizing the City of Struthers to enter into an agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates to provide professional engineering services for a management plan for Struthers sanitary sewer overflows not to exceed $45,070 from the SDO fund and declaring an emergency. Mayor?
I'll let Bob speak about this one. This is
Bob?
our wastewater.
So part of our EPA evaluation was we have overflows in the city and we have to eliminate them. You can't just eliminate overflows, you have to have an engineering design on it. So once we hire this company, they'll give us a design on how to eliminate the overflows that will meet our EPA requirements, that we're working towards that and we'll be able to keep our license.
Was that what all that surveying was about?
No,
That's the.
no, this is just our operating. So when we operate the plant, there are certain areas in the city when we get the flash flood rains, our sanitary line backs up and it overflows.
Oh, okay.
Every time that happens, we're in violation of the EPA.
So it's down there,
So they said, you can't do that.
okay.
So one of them is the main pump station downtown.
Which has been going on for years and years
It
and
has,
years,
it
but we've
has.
been getting it better and better and better
Right, so-
over the years.
Part of it, they said, we understand that it takes time to eliminate these overflows. Give us a plan and we'll extend your license until you can address it further.
And we're gonna be applying for a huge EPA grant by the end of November, for wastewater, and I think this has to do with that. We have to show
Right.
some kind of movement towards that.
Motion to bring it out. Second? Second. Okay, last piece here is an ordinance creating 521.20 of the Struthers Codified Ordinance prohibiting the use of generators except for during power outages during a temporary unavailability of electricity and or periodic testing and necessary maintenance. You guys wanna?
So we've had 2 issues with this in the last couple of years. One of them was on Judith Lane, if you remember, Ron, how loud it was.
Yep.
We just don't want it to be the main source of electricity, so it can be used during storm outages or whatnot, but as the main source of electricity, we now have one, I think it's behind Creed on Wilson.
Well, now, are these generators that people are buying that are liquid gas, or are these
No.
natural
This-
gas generators, Generex, that
They're
are
just
hooked up?
gasoline generators, they don't have electricity at the house, so
Okay.
they have a gasoline
loud.
generator that they run to keep the refrigerator cold. and
Now,
everything else.
like a Generec generator that is
That's-
natural gas that is hooked up to a house, completely different, that
Well-
sounds about like your AC
Yeah,
unit.
and that's addressed in there, it says you know, because those have to come on and test, and
Correct.
we allow them for that. John written the ordinance to allow for routine testing of your backup system.
Okay.
This is not addressing backup systems. This is running a house off of a generator
Of a
with no electricity at all.
Gasoline generator.
Yeah.
Gasoline generator.
And the neighbors have been calling,
Yeah.
just like on
Well,
Judith.
Honestly,
we were
gasoline
getting-
generators are ridiculously loud.
Yeah.
very
Now,
loud.
natural gas generators, a
They're
Generec,
quieter.
it is more like an AC unit.
Right, but that's a backup system.
Correct.
We don't have a problem with the backup system. Even gasoline generators on a backup system, we don't have a problem with. If your power goes out and you need
That's,
a gasoline generator to back up, that's fine. But the generator can't be your main source of electrical power
And this is all stated in this
in
ordinance?
the ordinance.
Okay.
yeah, and we were able to send the officers over and say you have to shut it off at 9 o'clock, because I think that's what our ordinance said, 7 a.m. to
The
9
noise.
p.m. So at 9:10, dispatch is blowing up, my phone's blowing up, because then we had to keep sending the cops over, because he needs to shut it off, which he knows, but it's been a pain in the butt. And we've only run into it twice in the last couple of years, but like you
Right.
said, they're using it as their main source of electricity for the house.
So if they can't afford electricity, can they get help to
There are
to do
different
that?
programs, usually they're for older
I'm gonna be honest.
individuals.
I have 2 gasoline generators that we use at work, and they would be the same thing that runs your house, right? It would cost you
More money.
30 times more in fuel
Then it would
to
a
run
gas
that
bill.
thing than it would in to
Electric
have
bill.
yeah, an
Well,
electric
we're
bill.
not
So
sure if they defaulted on a bill and they can't get the credit, like get open an account because their accounts are defaulted so much. We're not really sure.
yeah, I mean our gas generator to
It's
run throughout the
expensive.
day might take 5-10 gallons of gas.
And this doesn't-
you know what I mean?
This
Like,
won't apply to people that are doing work and temporary,
Right.
need a temporary source of power while they're doing construction or whatever.
sure.
That's a different situation.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is for the all intents and purposes of running your home day to day.
Right.
Yeah, this has been a constant every day for
Yes. Yes.
quite a while.
Okay, motion to bring it out.
motion to bring it up.
Second?
Second.
Okay, that's it for legislation. Who's got what? It's been a while since we've seen everybody. Go ahead, Mike.
I don't know if many of you know, but Marion Lisa passed away. She was one of the founding members of the Struthers Historical Society. So I'm asking council to do either or both, preferably, is send a card on our behalf, and Mayor, if you'd like to join in, so we show a little bit of unity on this one, and send a flower to her calling hours.
Yeah.
Hours aren't set yet from what I understand, but also I know she's at Becker,
Okay.
so I'd like for council to chip in and
Absolutely.
and acknowledge her,
Yeah,
because,
sure.
you know, that was her baby over there, and she ran it for many years.
Yep.
And, I
She
just
did a
think
great job.
Yeah.
She deserves the recognition.
Yes, she does.
You know, thank you at this time. So, Megan will be, can you work on that?
Yeah.
Okay, then you get with the mayor,
Okay.
so we can do both, if you don't mind. Thank you.
All good.
Thank you.
Yep.
What else? Mayor, you got stuff?
Yeah, can we quickly discuss this?
Sure.
Okay, so I know we met individually about the street resurfacing. We did submit those for next year's OPWC. Like we talked about, this match of money through Ohio Public Works Commission is based on a scoring rubric. So you have to hit certain scores in order to get the money. So our resurfacing for next year, we'll be putting $336,000 in. The match we're asking from OPWC is $149,900, which is usually you can get up to $150,000 for our match. So we're right up there. The streets for next year, they were surveyed by MS Consultants, and we came back, and I know I showed you all a list with the worst streets. Now this is the street itself, the actual street, how bad it is, the pavement assessment. They ranked those from worst to best. Then they went back and they have to score based on their location. So are they close to a school? Are they close to where the school has a lot of kids walking back and forth? The traffic count is huge on there too. So some of the streets that are worse don't score as high. So it's basically a game of matching everything to see where we can get the points from this application and pull from. Last year they cut off everything at 78 points, which is very high. Usually it was like 65, 66 points. That has went up significantly. So this year for street resurfacing, we have submitted Creed Street from Garfield to Argonne, Lincoln Street from 9th to Garfield, Elm Court, which is a short one, and West Lewis Street, which is a dead end in Nebo. But we have to start pairing some of those dead ends with some bad case scenario streets. If we don't start doing that, we're never going to get to some of those. So the construction total cost is $414 with the 10% contingency, $41,000. The engineering construction, $30,000. So the total amount for next year's street resurfacing is $486,000. So our match is $336 at 69%. We're asking for $149 at 30% of the total cost. So this was submitted and we should hear back within a couple months. Now keep in mind, we won't, if we get it, that's not something that's guaranteed. we won't get that money until next July. At that point, then we have to sit down, put it out for bid and do all that. So we're looking at September, October again on paving. There's a good chance that if we get it, and Poland and Canfield, if they have the same consultants, we might go in together to bid as one total project. And we're hoping to get done first this time, because last time we were done last.
Right.
So I'm gonna cry and
Yeah.
moan and try to get our way this time, because we went last, and I don't wanna go last again, because then we're running into Halloween. We don't wanna do that again. That's the first project that we've submitted through OPWC. The second project that we've submitted was an OPWC loan. That is for the repaving of Bobsine Way. Now, Bobsine Way has been one of the trickier ones. We've been trying to find money for repaving this for 4.5 years now. We've been looking at grant applications, we've been looking at, there's nothing out there. Basically our only option to get Bobsine Way paved is through an OPWC loan. It is the second highest on this list of worst streets in the city. It's not an ideal situation, but we have money from the TIF program that we can use for payments. The life of the loan would be 15 years. It would never survive on a OPWC application because it wouldn't score as high. So we could try to put this through for resurfacing 26, but then you're looking at only part of the street, and then you're looking at, that's the only thing that's gonna get done in 26. And that's not something that we wanna do. Like I said, we have the first couple payments because of the TIF money. We're looking at some different ways with Chrissy to be able to fund that and not touch the general fund, but maybe use some of the permissive auto from the street department to do it that way. But we're looking at this will probably be the most painless for the city to do. We can't just keep putting it off, but we have no other, our hands are kind of tied. We have no other option in order to pay this. And it is a top priority for the downtown.
What is the interest rate on the loans you've been
I
looking
was
at?
just gonna ask
Low
that.
to none.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
why-
listen, if it's really low to none, then
1% or.
Oh, 1%,
Yeah.
yeah.
We definitely have to do that, though.
I hate to say that you're probably right, but I
don't know
probably
the
are
exact
right. I
number,
mean,
Right.
it's just-
Usually it runs right around there, 1.5%.
They bring in the most money.
Well, I'm not saying that. I mean,
Income tax money.
I
I'm
agree.
saying.
They
That's why
are,
we definitely gotta do it.
they are truly a huge portion of the lifeblood of the city. That's
But,
undeniable.
yeah, that is true. But I also mentioned to the mayor, what have they ever donated to the city? Nothing. Any projects we had, anything we needed donations for, they've donated nothing.
I'm more speaking to the income
I know,
tax.
I know.
dollars.
So
That's-
where are they gonna go?
I would
you know,
hate to
who
challenge
knows?
that, to be honest, but let's hope we don't
That's
have to
risky.
worry
Yeah, you know what I'm
about
saying,
that.
you know, we're being generous to them, but they could give two shits about us.
Well, see,
I
I'm
think
gonna
this-
disagree, because they did give us that property back in the last.
They had to. They had to develop that property and they never did.
But they could have they could
No.
have held on to it.
No,
and
they couldn't
could
have, because there was a certain amount of years that they had to return it back to the
I
city.
think when that contract was done, if I remember right, I don't know if you looked at it.
I did,
when-
but I don't
I
remember.
think when that contract was done, there was a big mess up on our part and we really didn't have the recourse, if I remember right, do you?
I
To
don't.
get the property back and they willing to give it, but that's kinda here nor
Yeah,
there. I
that's
mean,
fine.
that,
But I'm just
you know,
saying, you know, they could be a little more Struthers friendly.
I'm more like,
You know,
listen, does
granted-
this absolutely need done?
Yes, drive.
I have not drove down it, I
Well,
can't even say that I have.
that's
Yes,
just it. The
definitely.
problem is, a lot of people in the city don't
Yeah,
see
unless there's a
that.
train, I'm
They
never
don't
gonna
see
But
drive
I'm
down
gonna
that street
disagree
ever.
with that too, because our
No.
traffic count
Yeah, I know.
shows
I know,
otherwise. Our
I know.
traffic count shows that it's one of the most traveled
Yeah,
streets.
well, I
in the
never
city.
use it, so I
I
don't have
would
a
agree.
thing.
I would agree that if that is one of our most heavily trafficked streets, there's a reason for that. It's either people leaving shift change.
trucks?
There's the trucks that come in and
Oh, yeah,
out.
downtown is brutal.
And I
Yeah.
also would say, if that road is terrible, it isn't terrible from the traffic count from residents.
No, it's
It's
the
terrible
trucks.
from the truck
trucks.
traffic.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
But it is still our street.
it's still,
Yeah.
a city
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I did go down it after I left the meeting.
I mean, I know there's worse streets, but by the way they grade it, I see why it got the grade
It's
did.
bad.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not.
if
The
I
whole
may
ed-
interject, that street, they don't patch holes. They drop hot patch and they back
Yeah.
drag it. That's the only way they can keep that, and they've been doing
You
this
can tell.
for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Dumping whole trucks of hot patch and taking a front loader and back dragging it
Back
because you can't just patch holes down there anymore.
Yeah.
It's beyond that.
You're saying they're so bad.
That's that bad. That street has been bad for a number of years. Even when I was the head of the street department, that street was bad. And it is a city street. It doesn't qualify, the high traffic count does give it a lot of points, but the other factors that go into the points, the number of businesses served, the number of houses served, there are none. So it's just a city street that we have to maintain, and this is the only way we have to do it.
I feel like this is gonna be a decision nobody likes, but
No,
we're
right.
really not gonna have a choice on
We
it.
gotta do
So,
it.
yeah,
There's
if
no-
that's the case, then that is what it is. We're lucky enough, I would say at this point, if that's realistic and we're getting a 1% loan.
And
Watch.
don't hold me on that. It
You know,
usually-
but
usually
I'm
comes
just
in at
saying, if it-
1.5%.
I thought you were gonna tell me
Yeah.
6%, and
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
All
man,
the
that-
edging
you know.
is all breaking off
Yeah.
and everything
Okay.
down there.
But the thing about down there is with that road, okay, they keep those fields really
Pristine.
nice.
Yeah, they do.
Okay?
They do.
And you bring a lot of people into
Yep.
Struthers
Sure.
that love those fields. There's people from all over that come here.
No,
So that's
You're
just-
right.
You should keep that up just for
100%.
some of that reason.
Yeah.
well, and also, like we said, the addition of their income tax to the city alone.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
You know, we can't survive without it. I mean,
Nope.
that's just the truth. How it would impact us tomorrow, we would be on critical spending,
Exactly.
and we would remain
We'd be
there.
in fiscal emergency.
We would remain
We'd
Yeah.
there.
have to lay off and let go.
Yeah.
It would,
Yep.
So at this point, I mean, whether they cater to us or not, we're still at the disadvantage where we're going to have to address this.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I still think they could be a little more friendly to the city that houses them.
Sure.
Because they don't donate nothing. Have you ever heard of anything come from them? Nothing.
Mr. Burnside, you know I love you, but I'm gonna disagree.
That's
Even
all right.
on the scoreboard at Struthers, they donate every year. They have they're one of the biggest emblems on the scoreboard at the high school.
Okay.
They do the fireworks.
Maybe they
every
do a little
6
bit more
years.
behind the scenes than
Yeah,
we
maybe,
realize.
maybe.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I honestly, when you asked me, I couldn't name anything
I
either.
can't
So I'm
name a
not,
thing.
you know.
Can't name a thing.
But I do know that we need them here, and we kind of
Yeah.
need to appreciate them here to some extent.
Yeah, oh yeah, I agree.
So we're going to have to do what we have to do. I hate it in my personal life and in life here. I absolutely hate taking out loans.
And
So I'm
you know
completely
how-
against it in every way. However, what else are you going to do?
You know how aggressive we've been with grants and
Sure.
going after everything, and this has been, we have not been able to find anything in any possible way anywhere.
Right.
But this was one of the biggest projects for the TIF money. There was only 5 projects that money was allowed to be used for, and this was one of them.
Sure.
That's,
And Lori, that is a great point. I mean, bobsleigh fields in general are,
I
They're a
work in
cornerstone here.
Canfield, and I talk to these kids and parents every day.
yeah.
They love coming down here to Struthers.
What's funny is
To be in those
we've
fields.
been working far, like Newton Falls
Yeah.
and places like that. And if I talk to people out there, that'll be the first, oh, my kids played ball
Yeah.
at Scene
Scene
Park.
Park,
That's
yeah.
the only way they even know what Struthers is. And you would be surprised how many people know Struthers from that. So,
and
Yep.
we're even trying, just to play off of Bob's Scene Way, we're even trying, I know one of the, 2 of the facade grants that we gave a few years ago were on State Street there, because we're trying to make that whole corridor look better, because Bob's, that's where everybody's coming from when they go to the baseball fields, to make it look. We are working on it. I will show you before and after.
You gotta start somewhere. If it takes 10 years, it takes 10 years, but you gotta
Well,
start.
he's,
I'm being sarcastic, you know why?
I don't
I-
like this.
did you read
We're
Boy,
working.
there's a lot of facade work
Yeah,
being
thank
done down there.
I feel you.
That area is just so bad.
What, downtown?
Coming in, it just looks, it looks like a third world country. It does, it's
I
terrible.
agree.
It is terrible. I cringe every time I drive through it every day. And I cringe every time I see them open buildings and nothing being done.
You got a young kid with a hammering a nail on the step ladder.
Tearing things apart, but don't have money to put back
Why
together.
don't you go down and help them, Dallas?
I got my hands. I don't.
Well, we sent a letter, so we'll be hearing about that soon. I'm gonna talk to you guys about that as well.
I,
I mean, with the new water lines being put in, it's
horrible.
a war zone down there.
It took me 11 months to start from day one to put my building up, and they poured the cement 11 months later. And I started from scratch. These guys have been down there for 2 years, and buildings look like crap. They ain't getting nowhere.
They're terrible. They're terrible.
But we also did let Dom sit on those buildings for a very, very long
They
time.
look
without-
better.
But I'm just saying,
They looked a lot
we let
better.
them
At least
sit
they
there
had a
for a
front
really
to 'em.
long
At
time
least they had a
with
front.
nobody
now you
doing
got no front.
anything. So
Well, I don't
It
know.
looks like a
like,
jungle gym down
They
there.
might have had a front, but it was pretty dirty.
It was. But
Yeah.
what do you got down there
It
now?
was.
Ain't
Well,
any
it
better
looks
for
a
it.
little bit cleaner, it
Yeah.
definitely
I think it's a
does.
safety
It
hazard,
don't
tell
look
you the
any
truth.
better down there now.
the open building for sure, I think
the
so.
buildings
Yeah,
are safety
definitely.
hazards right now.
That's what we're
I would
working
agree with
And-
you on that.
with
Yeah.
John.
And I
Yeah, that
don't, like
open
you
building.
says, they would
Yeah.
have never gotten away with that plan in Youngstown without the financial backing.
No, I mean, at some point, if you would agree that it's a safety concern, and if you agree that it's
The
a
one
safety
building
concern,
is
Yeah.
currently
Then you-
condemned.
you do need to
And-
block the
and we
sidewalk off.
The open building
I
is.
don't think it's,
So
to the
the-
point we need to block the sidewalk.
No, that's what we had
They do
when-
have it boarded up to where you can't fall in.
That's when
And
we
there's
had that
nothing-
Michael's Pizza place down there.
We
was
blocked the
blocked.
sidewalk off.
But that was,
Yeah.
wasn't that a threat of something falling off the
Correct.
top?
Yeah.
That was correct.
Well, that could be the case for the Las Galas building.
Yeah.
Those bricks
on the
blocking
side
from
there.
falling off.
That is true too.
We had that
We
taped off
had
for
it
a while.
blocked off.
but People moving, so.
Hey, Bob, you sent the owner a letter about that stuff in the alley because it was blocked, and
Yes,
where you at with that?
a lot of it's been moved already.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
What about that tractor
The only thing
trailer?
that's left is the tractor trailer, which they're planning an auction with that.
I just think that.
There's a tractor trailer and a shed there. And once they have the auction, then they'll move both of those.
I just think they're, I don't know.
Do you have a timeline on the auction?
End of the month?
Mm-hmm.
End of the month.
We're waiting for the official date. We've asked for the official date. 'Cause it was supposed to be this date, it was supposed to be in June. Now that's why we got a letter from John, kind of applying more pressure there. And then we're gonna take the necessary the next steps, which,
Does anybody wanna adjust this letter that we got? I don't know.
Well,
Is it?
it's from July 1st.
You don't wanna address it at all?
Up to you. Go, have at it, Lori. I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm okay with if you want to address it.
Oh, addressing it? Oh, I
Yeah.
oh, I got that letter too.
Yeah, I mean, I just, okay, I don't need to adjust it.
No, we can. I mean, I just think that for
No.
quite some time, we're going to pause on any other licenses coming in here, which is kind of what we agreed. We didn't give a license to anyone.
No.
They automatically got one by having their
Right.
their medical license.
And I don't think anyone for
Correct.
2 years can even.
Right, that's
No,
what I
and
thought, there was a
So-
2-year
This
leeway.
individual is understanding the whole process from the state. I don't think there's a,
Well, we don't
There's
pick.
just-
I mean, for anyone, we don't pick.
No.
You have a license. You can.
Yeah.
You don't have a license. You. No,
That's the
we're.
state.
That's the state. We have to allow them to apply. Correct.
And the
And-
only thing we could do is designate where they can put it.
Sure, but we could allow. Yes.
Well,
There's
you
already
can limit
state-
how
state
many there are.
restrictions
Right. Well,
on
we
that.
again, we didn't allow any new ones. The state automatically grants medical license. If you have a medical license, when it became recreational, you got grandfathered. You were the only one, the first one to get
Yeah.
a recreational license. So for the next 2 years, I think we need to sit on this. That's my opinion. It's not going to change no matter how many people are who write us a letter, because that's the best interest of the city. I don't want 27 of these in our city. I really don't. There's not a need. There's not a want. What you're going to have, if you have 10 of these or you have one, you're going to have the exact same people. And it's either going to be split 10 ways or it's one way. But I don't want 27 marijuana dispensaries in our city.
I agree.
So until everything is figured out and the dust settles, we need to sit the way we are. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm with you.
Thanks, Lord. You're on a roll tonight.
First night back.
Yep, you were ready.
Yep.
All right, anything else for finance and legislation?
Yeah.
John, you got anything
I
tonight?
do not.
Just here to
Oh,
look
you're
handsome.
gonna like that.
Yeah. It's a doozy.
All right, I'm gonna call for adjournment. Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.